Hey, konbanwa and welcome. Tonight we are going to look at another picture talk with the Christmas special. And I'd like to thank the teacher in the Japanese language teachers group for showcasing this fantastic set of pictures. These ones are, it's a perfect choice, I think, for the Christmas theme. But these ones are Christmas pictures, but with a difference. They're really good to spark interest and intrigue and to use as a springboard for natural discussion and communication with your students in Japanese. So these pictures have a surprise element to them because they are miniature artworks by the artist Tanaka Tatsuya. So Tanaka-san is a Japanese art director famed for his miniature photography. They are just brilliant, and his Instagram is well worth a follow. He was born in 1981 in Kumamoto Prefecture, and his series of these original photographs featuring tiny models with everyday items have won him huge internet popularity. So we're going to use some of his artwork in today's demo. So to start with and to share the learning intentions for the students, this is one example. So we are learning to understand and discuss an image by listening to and describing actions, events, and emotions in Japanese. And this learning intention and this task, this goal that we have matches beautifully in the curriculum, the Australian curriculum and the Victorian curriculum also. And at different levels, this will match the curriculum requirements for just about any level. So moving on to the success criteria, I keep it pretty simple and explain that for the students to have success, this is what needs to happen, that they need to show that they understand the simple questions and statements about the picture in Japanese, and that they can follow and respond to questions in Japanese about the story. Now, their response might be for super beginners in English, and that's fine. You, of course, can level things up for your higher levels. So how do we use these types of pictures? So there are a few ways to use pictures in picture talk. I'm going to go through and explain 4 different types. So the first sample will be a describe the picture. You simply ask questions to the class about what they can see and what they can describe in the picture. Number 2 is co-creating a story with your class by asking, again, questions, either or questions, so that you're creating a story and the students have some input as to where the story goes. Number 3 is story listening. So in a story listening, the teacher tells the story and the students listen. It's a nice calming activity, but the story needs to be made comprehensible, and we do that with gestures, labelling the picture, drawing some additional pictures, facial expressions, and the like. Number 4 example is a which pick, and that is a comparison between 2 pictures. So yeah, as I said, we'll do a short demo of each using these 4 pictures. So step 1, when you're doing a picture talk, any picture talk, but especially for beginners, I look at the key language related to the picture and I think about what we could say using the Super 7. So the Super 7 are these ones here, and with this small group of verbs, we can say and express a lot of language. If we really focus in on the absolute basic ways to say things, this group of 7 will cover just about most things, if not all. So for Japanese, it's a des, and I also have a gesture for each of these verbs, so that helps to keep it comprehensible. So des, ga arimasu, ga imasu, ga suki desu, ga hoshii desu, ni ikimasu, o shimasu. So these are the verbs which we use over and over again in our classes, expanding where we need to, but really focusing on trying to use this so that the students have a really strong foundation of those key words. And yeah, my goal is to use these high frequency verbs as much as possible. So the more that I can use them in a variety of different ways and keeping it interesting, the more input that I can give the students. And the input is in context. So for more advanced learners, you may want to modify this a little bit. For example, instead of ga arimasu, you might want to introduce motte imasu. But as I said, for super beginners, I like to drill down and see if I can make a really interesting story using very simple language. I'll also ask questions, and I will recast students' answers and provide extra detail by conversationally adding negative forms. And you'll get a sense of that as we go through the demo. So the new words here, or any extra words that are not essential, I would have those written up and kept to a minimum, but certainly the students need to be in no doubt of any of these unusual words that they hadn't come across. So I would write them up on the board and yes, use the gestures if there are gestures that would match that. So for example, fukuro, you might do this and just use a gesture for those extra vocab, or point and pause to it up on the board if you've written it up. Okay, so the first example, describe the picture. So you might say, before we go into it, one of the hardest things that I found when I was starting to teach with more comprehensible input was going slow and pointing and pausing to give all students the opportunity to have processing time. So I found that once I was able to do that and do that a little bit more naturally and without any hesitation, that was my go-to pace, everything became a lot better. So I would use up on the board a pointer and I would go through asking some of these questions to describe the picture. So, dare desu ka? I also have a gesture for ka. Minasan, Lady Gaga desu ka? いいえ。Lady Gaga じゃないです。Santa さんです。Santa さんです。はい。Santa さんは何がありますか？ They might say sack. はい、そうです。袋です。袋です。袋。はい。サンタさんは袋があります。何ですか？プレゼントです。はい。プレゼントです。いくつプレゼントがありますか？一つ、二つ、三つ。一つ。はい。一つあります。一つあります。誰のプレゼントですか？ So they can guess, you can predict, make some suggestions. 知りません。知りません。何ですか？はい、欲しいです。はい、欲しいは木にあります。木に on にあります。木は何ですか？ケーキですか？オレンジですか？ドーナツですか？いいえ、ドーナツじゃないです。カップケーキじゃないです。クリスマスの木はクワソンです。クワソンです。クリスマスの木はクワソンです。特別です。スペシャル。特別です。特別なクリスマスの日です。Okay. So that's explaining what they can actually see. You could ask about what color the present is, what they think is in the present, what the present is, who the present belongs to, what's in the sack. Does Santa have a hat? What color is his boots? Is he happy? Is he busy? Is he hungry? Does he want to eat the croissant tree? So you can just ask and they can describe and make some predictions. So next up is ask and create a story. So with this one, you are asking questions to gather some interesting suggestions from the students. So again, with pointing and pausing or doing your gestures, you can ask a short story about this picture. So, 誰ですか？サンタです。サンタさんはどこに いますか？どこにいますか？ North Pole にいますか？オーストラリアにいますか? So they can guess and you can slot in that bit of information that's been provided by the students, the detail, into the language chunks that we're using, the Super 7 chunks. サンタさんはオーストラリアにいません。North Pole にいません. So then they can make a suggestion, and you might like to ask どこ Santa さんはどこに行きますか? Where is he going? How is he? どんな気持ちですか? Are the reindeers, are they tired? What are their names? Are they friends? What's the sleigh? Are there presents in the sleigh? Whose presents are they? So you can feed off the students' examples and pick one to create and confirm together. That's right. Santa's not in Australia. Santa is in Spain, but he's going to Russia. The two reindeers, one is Bob and one is Rudolph, and Rudolph is happy and Bob is not happy. Bob likes Santa and Santa likes Bob, but Rudolph doesn't like Bob, or whatever Super 7 you'd like to really drill in with the kids. And I guess the other thing that I would mention with creating a story, if you haven't tried it before, just I would start with just doing describe the picture. Telling a story, it does require a little bit of letting go. And in the beginning, that was something I found challenging, just being confident to let go and not knowing exactly where things are going. Like you've got a skeleton, you've got a rough idea of where things are going in the story. But yes, if you can keep it much tighter if you want to. I found that once I became more confident with the story asking process and skills of asking the question and knowing when to take up a suggestion that had garnered a lot of interest in the class by the students, things really did improve as far as my confidence with creating a story together and being happy to let go. So the third suggestion that I have for you is story listening. So story listening is a comprehensible input teaching technique that has been developed by Benny Cole Mason. Benny Cole Mason has taught English to Japanese uni students in Japan for many, many years. And there were quite a few of her students who had failed their first year of uni English before ending up in her class. Mason's students were considered the bad students that weren't learning. And so she used that class to teach English through story listening and lots of voluntary self-selected reading. And interestingly enough, these students in this class, the story listening class, outperformed their traditionally taught peers in many, many cases, acquiring twice as quickly as the other students. So it's a very interesting technique to look into. If you're interested in that, I recommend that you look up Dr. Benico Mason. So story listening is very simple. The teacher tells a story in the target language and illustrates it on the board by drawing pictures and writing keywords, using arrows, etc. The teacher can translate and answer questions that the students might have. And when all of this is done, the students then read the story. So generally speaking, story listening is done completely where you'd be drawing this for the students. For the case of this, for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to use this one up here, and you could add the extra details or the translations of some of the words around here. So, for example, a mini story, a short story listening tale could be, this is a story about a mini Santa. The mini Santa has a mini reindeer. The mini Santa has one mini reindeer. The mini reindeer is sitting. It's not standing. Santa is standing. Santa has big sacks. The sacks are orange. They are not red. They are special sacks. They are not ordinary sacks. They are mikans. Santa has one sack, one mikan sack. Santa is not strong. The reindeer is strong, but he doesn't want to work. The reindeer doesn't want to work because he's tired. He doesn't like the big orange sacks, and so on and so forth. So recycling the words as much as you can, also giving a variety of different ways to say the same thing, or using complementary adjectives or the opposite words, so that you're building up the vocab of those descriptors. And just conscious of time here. The final one is which pick. So we can also get the students to make statements. So this could be a speaking task. They could make a statement about one of the pictures and then ask the class which photo that we're describing. So I like to use, instead of A and B, I like to use just a bit more exposure to hiragana, A and I. So they might say, mikan ga arimasu. And the students would say, shashin B, shashin I. Or it could be, to stretch it even further, Santa-san to nihiki tonakai imasu. So there allows for a bit of differentiation there with the students picking their level as far as what they have acquired and what they're happy to express verbally. Another additional activity could be to expand on this and do a discussion about Tanaka-san. So in Victoria for VCE, this could work well as part of the significant people's topic. But using the Super 7 and describing using these words makes it very doable also for beginners. So, for example, dare desu ka, onna noko desu ka, otoko noko desu ka, namae wa nan desu ka, Tanaka-san desu. Tanaka-san wa nani jin desu ka, Australia jin desu ka, Tanaka-san wa nani o shimasu ka, o shigoto wa nan desu ka, minasan, Tanaka-san no ato wa do omoimasu ka? So to get them to reflect and talk about what they think about the artwork that we've just been looking at. So for extra input, you can recap in the past tense. And this is an easy way to just recap the story, but also to expose the students to the past tense. So, okay, yesterday we looked at a photo of Santa. Let's see what we can remember. What was in the photo? Yeah, that's right. There was Santa. Santa ga imasu. Presento ga arimasu. Ki ga, Christmas no ki ga arimashita. Donna ki ga arimashita ka? So again, exposure to exposure to the past tense, and I like to use the gesture here to give some extra support there. So arimashita, iimashita, etc. Right. I think we've covered all that. And just a couple of things to remember. That language is acquired by processing comprehended communicative input. And by communicative, we mean two things. That the language needs to have meaning for the speaker and the writer and listener or reader. And two, it has to have a non-linguistic purpose. So by non-linguistic purpose, we're talking about for entertaining, for sorting, for deciding, for ranking. We're not talking about the grammar. That's not providing any great purpose. So again, it has been good for me to reflect back on those things and remembering, okay, am I keeping the language comprehended? Am I giving it a communicative purpose when I'm doing these activities in class? And so my top tips, do keep everything 100% comprehensible. Go slow. When you think that you've gone slow enough, go slower. Personalize where you can. So, would you like a croissant tree? Would you eat it? Would you like a reindeer as a pet? What pets do you have? So keeping it personalized as much as you can, and accept any output that signals correct understanding. So that might be a gesture, that might be English, an English word. It could be a Japanese word or a Japanese sentence. Anything that shows comprehension can be shown in many different ways. It doesn't need to be perfectly expressed to show that comprehension. And just a couple of don'ts. Don't overload with new vocab, and hold back on the push to force any kind of output. That comes when the students have received enough comprehensible, rich input, so that they have the structures in their head and it's acquired, and once that is there, it flows very naturally and easily into spoken language. That's been my experience. The other tip would be to use cognates where possible, such as katakana words, and this can help to ease the cognitive load. So that is it. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to see more webinars like this, consider joining the JapanEasyReads community. It's free to sign up, or sign up for the Kickstart 2025 with CI mini course, which will be starting in January. Just email me or contact me via any of these platforms. And so, 皆さん、それで終わります。頑張りましょう。Till next time.